So today we'll do a very straightforward job on the KLR, which is the replacement of the standard rotor, brake rotor, with an EBC SM series rotor. The SM series is 320 millimeters, and you can probably see that it's simply larger in diameter than the stock rotor. What that's going to do, basically, although the EBC rotor has a number of other design features, its primary purpose is to provide a larger diameter rotor. The larger diameter means that the brake caliper is going to grip the rotor farther away from the hub, which creates more leverage. So if you picture the wheel spinning and you tried to stop it by grabbing it real close to the hub, you can imagine it'd be real tough. But if the wheel were spinning and you grabbed it out here, it would be very easy to stop it. So the farther away this is from the hub, the more leverage there is and the more braking power you have. Because the caliper needs to be positioned slightly farther away because the rotor is bigger, you need to move it outward with this bracket. This is from Eagle Mike of Eagle Industries. This is a really nicely made custom relocation bracket. There are others out there, but this one is by far the best. And let's get started. So first is I'm just going to remove the nut here with a 19 millimeter wrench. And then we're going to undo the pinch bolts. Once you've got your pinch bolts loosened and this nut off, you want to just tap it out with a soft tool. I always use the crescent wrench because I always have this wrench with me in my toolkit. And then you can just pull it out from the other side. You're going to loosen the speedometer cable. So after you have the wheel off, you're going to remove these hex bolts. These are 6 millimeter, and you'll need to remove them all the way around to take the rotor off. And once you've got the bolts out, the rotor will come right off. This is a good opportunity to see the difference in size between the new rotor and the old rotor. Now, while you have the old rotor off, before you put the new rotor on, you should thoroughly clean the mating surfaces here. After you've completely cleaned the hub, you can put the new rotor in place, lining up the holes. By the way, also clean the back side of the rotor with brake cleaner to make sure that these metal mating surfaces are completely clean where they touch each other. And we can start to fasten it. These are fastened at 20 foot-pounds. First, do each one just finger tight, of course, and then you'll be torquing them in a crisscross pattern. So here's your finished new rotor, cleaned, torqued properly, and ready to put on the relocation bracket. So your next step is to remove this bolt here, which holds this cable guide. At the end, we'll see if the cable guide can still be used. Usually it cannot be because this whole assembly is going to move even farther backward, which increases this curve too much. But we'll see. By the way, this bolt is 8 millimeters. We're going to remove this caliper to do this job, but before we remove these bolts here, it's always easiest to loosen the caliper pins here and here while this is still fastened. This is a 5 millimeter hex. So this has to be removed, and it's a lot easier to unscrew that before you remove the bolts holding the caliper on. So we'll do that one first. Once you unfasten that though, you'll see that at that point, without loosening these, you can slide the caliper assembly off the bracket. that you just want to find a simple way to relocate the caliper out of the way on a bungee or something and take the weight off the brake line. Now, the nice thing about leaving the mounting bracket here is it gives you it's held in place while you remove that nut, because you need this guide pin. At this point, you can remove the old mounting bracket using these 12mm bolts and save the bolts, because you're going to reuse them. So when you put the new bracket on, it should look like this. We'll torque everything down later. Once you've reattached the caliper, then you just need to snug it down with this nut here at the back, and then you just put the pads back in. So when you're all done, it looks like this. And all that's left to do is to put on the front wheel, which, if you're doing a custom brake job like this, you've probably done dozens of times, and you certainly don't need me to demonstrate it. So when you're all done, there's your beautiful new rotor. I'll put a link in the comments to a good bedding process for the disc and the brakes. Thanks for watching.